France has always stood with India whenever it came to any critical positions. France was the only country that did not sanction India after the 1998 Pokhran nuclear tests. France was the only country which understood the Indian position, understood the Indian delicate position vis a vis Russia. In fact, let me say that for India, France is the number one P5 power. India is looking towards France for or supply or joint research and development of small modular nuclear reactors. France right now is supposed to deliver uh, 26 Rafale maritime fighters for INS Vikrant. The negotiations are on. Between India and France, actually, sky is the limit.
French President Emmanuel Macron is our chief guest for the 75th Republic Day celebrations later this month in Delhi. And all eyes are, of course, on that. And his visit to India comes barely less than a year after India and France celebrated 25 years of their strategic partnership last year. Now, to discuss the significance of this visit and to also understand the strategic importance that France holds for India and what are the next steps in that partnership. We have with us our executive editor, Shishir Gupta. Shishir, take us through the arrival of the French president. Is he likely to land in Delhi? You were saying he'll probably land in Jaipur. What's the situation playing out?
Namaskar. Aditi, India and France are the possibly the closest allies, and the two of them, they share very close ties. France was the only country that did not sanction India after the 1998 Pokhran nuclear tests. So the two countries are very similar in their approach, in the sense that both believe in strategic autonomy and they share a world view which is different from the main superpowers. Now, my understanding is that French President Emmanuel Macron is coming on the 25th and is leaving India on the 27th after being the chief guest at the Republic Day. My understanding is that he is landing up in a second city, not in Delhi, but I can't tell you the name because the last word is still to be said. But let me tell you something, that when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had gone for the Bastille Day celebrations last July 14th, President Macron had given him a, a red carpet treatment where the world famous Louvre was closed for a banquet for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So, my understanding is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi would like to pay back in the same coin, and what could not be more significant or magnificent than the Indian palaces in Rajasthan with all Rajputana grandeur. But maybe it could be somewhere else. But the fact is that he will be our state guest for the Republic Day parade this year.
Shishir, a lot is, the world is changing, and you talked about our India and France's interests converging. I'm going to talk about the specifics about his
Yeah.
visit and what are the key things on the table. But I want to understand, in a world right now which is very divided, the global order as we knew it is shattered, if I may say. You saying that India and France seem to be on the same side of the table on many issues that are hogging the world currently. Can you take us through what exactly, I mean, how do our worldviews match, as you pointed out?
Okay, so let's go to the Ukraine war. Now, while the other Western countries tried to criticize India for not speaking up against Russia on the invasion in Ukraine, France was the only country which understood the Indian position, understood the Indian delicate position vis a vis Russia, and chose to keep quiet about the whole thing rather than go with the general clamor, which was basically to criticize India for keeping quiet or not criticizing Russia per se. One. Second thing is that India and France have a very close view on the Indo-Pacific, a very similar view on the Indo-Pacific. They want to keep the sea lanes of communications open. They have a trilateral dialogue with Australia, and they essentially want that the South China Sea should be kept open for global trade and traffic. Number three, India and France are very close on counterterrorism. Let me tell you something that before Taliban actually took over Kabul, Pakistan used China to try and designate Indians, innocent Indians working in Afghanistan, as global terrorists. They didn't try it once, they tried at least 5 to 6 times. It was France which blocked the entire proposals. That is why France is important. Then, even on this whole business which is happening currently on the Israel war on Gaza after the Hamas terrorist attack, the two have a position. The French position is very clear, and the Indian position that terrorism has no place in this world. So that is why India and France have very close ties. In fact, let me say that for India, France is the number one P5 power.
Okay, that's a big statement. What about the United States then?
See, when you look at the number one, number two, you will actually put France at number one. You will actually put Russia and United States on number two. And then the rest follows. And the last one, obviously, is China.
Of course, expectedly so. Let's talk about, since it's Macron who's coming to India, let's talk about the personal chemistry or the bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and the French president, because that is something that has also been talked about a lot.
You see, the two share very close chemistry. They both talk to each other very frequently on major positions that they need to take. But what is more important is that France has always stood with India whenever it came to any critical positions. Let me tell you that in 1998, when India was put in the doghouse by the West for the nuclear test, it was France which provided us with the inertial navigation systems that power our Prithvi nuclear missiles. That that closeness India and France have. India and France are very close in space, they're very close in defense, and they're very close politically too. Both countries have an independent view of the way they look at world. They do not follow whether it is US, Russia, or anybody else. They have a view, and they're not afraid of actually telling their view to the world. Now, when President Macron comes to India, the centerpiece is going to be the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, what is going to happen is that India is looking towards France for or supply or joint research and development of small modular nuclear reactors. These are nuclear reactors which are less than 300 megawatt. These reactors do not require that kind of coolant, that kind of water for cooling the reactors. But these reactors are fundamental to clean energy. They are fundamental to the green hydrogen project. They are fundamental to actually having, you know, uh, phasing out of fossil fuels. This is priority one. And the two sides have been talking to each other, and there will definitely be a forward momentum in this. Second thing is India and France are very close partners in space. France has been launching Indian satellites from French Guiana. Now the time has come when both sides actually look at the Gaganyaan mission, where India would be putting a manned crew into space. So let me say that the two leaders have a very close chemistry and they are both committed to having very close ties with each other.
Very interesting that you talk about these small modular reactors, Shishir, because I'm reminded of 1998. That was the year when another French president, Jacques Chirac, was the chief guest at our
Yes.
Republic Day celebrations. And immediately after that, Pokhran happened. He went back and India announced the Pokhran tests, the Pokhran 2 in May that year. The UNSC at the UNSC, the US moved a resolution imposing sanctions against India, but France, interestingly, did not join that, as you had pointed out earlier. But now this partnership that we've been having for so many years, how do you see this 25 years of partnership, a lot of converged interests? How do you see this panning out, especially in terms of defense? Because that is one of the key areas, make in India in defense. That's one of the areas which is being pushed by this government. How is France playing into that narrative?
Okay, so France right now is supposed to deliver uh, 26 Rafale maritime fighters for INS Vikrant. The negotiations are on. So, but that is a off the shelf purchase. Second thing is France has also decided to build three more Scorpene class submarines in Mazagon dockyards, and the negotiations are on for that. Now, these two things apart, France is developing the uh, Indian multi role helicopter, the engine for the Indian multi role helicopter, which is going to be the key, and the company involved is Safran. So, in any big defense deal, France is a part of it. But now, what is happening is that France is going to involve Indian supply chains into of development research of Scorpene submarines, as well as surface combatants, as well as Safran aircraft engines, as well as Safran helicopter engines. The two countries are going to go on the drawing board and develop things for the future. And this is going to be the centerpiece of the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, let me expand it further. First, the Scorpion class submarine. Now, what is happening currently is that France is certifying the DRDO developed air independent propulsion for the future submarines that will be made in India. Once this happens, India and France together will build submarines, AIP equipped submarines, which allow the submarine to remain at the bottom of sea for a long time. This will be developed and for exported to third countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and whosoever wants to buy it. Second thing is that they are also certifying the various industries in India which are involved in submarine building. So even a screw is going to be certified for them, and once that happens, they'll be fitted into the new project. So the two countries are going to go together and produce platforms which will be exported for to other countries. Now, coming to aircraft engines. Now, France is a country which has supplied us 36 Rafales at the time when China was transgressing on East Ladakh. Now, the Rafale has a M88 or a engine that produces 88 kilonewton of force. Now we are looking
Hmm.
for engines which are going to be of 130 kilonewton force. So these are future engines. These we are looking at next decade of thing. Then we are looking at helicopter engines which will be fitted into HAL's Prachand. Now, the two countries are going to join together and produce the Shakti series of engines, which will be fitted into these helicopters, which ultimately will replace the Russian helicopters, that is Mi 70. So, let me say, between India and France, actually, sky is the limit.
Sky's the limit, but we still don't have a free trade agreement.
See, the free trade agreement with France can only happen. We have a free trade agreement with European Union. So, as far as France is concerned, France it's for France it's a supporter for the free trade agreement. But then free trade agreements do not take place so easily. There is a lot of negotiations that are happening and that are continuing right now. My understanding is you will see a forward movement this year.
We will see a forward movement this year on that, because that will take ties to a completely different level, because that is one area that one has seen that has not really seen much action, and sky's the potential then, so to speak. Thank you for those insights, Shishir. Very informative insights, especially at a time when the French Prime Minister is coming to India for the Republic Day celebrations. We hope to see a lot more cooperation and bilateral agreements fructify during that visit. We'll keep you, the viewer, posted on all the developments and keep giving you additional insights into everything that transpires. Stay tuned to Hindustan Times Point Blank.